You're 36 years old and your job is delivering supplies across the ocean. It's not the kind of job people dream about when they're kids, but it has taken you to places most people only see on maps. Cargo docks in Singapore, supply harbors in New Zealand, drifting research stations scattered across the Pacific. Most of the time, your job is simple. You move things from one place to another across open water, equipment, fuel drums, scientific supplies, sometimes cargo that looks ordinary but is incredibly important for someone far away. That's how this trip begins. You're standing on a pier in Fiji, staring at a sturdy 30-foot supply boat rocking calmly in the water. The destination is Tahiti, nearly 2,000 miles away across the Pacific. The cargo inside the hold is unusual, large sealed containers filled with nutrient pellets. They're meant for aquaculture farms near Tahiti that raise thousands of ocean fish. The farms rely on these shipments. Without them, the entire operation stalls. Your boat is carrying several tons of the stuff. The trip is routine. At least it's supposed to be. You're not alone. 4 other people stand on the dock beside you. Mika, the captain, a calm New Zealander who has spent half his life on the ocean. Luis, a mechanic from Chile, who can fix almost anything with a wrench and stubborn patience. Haru, a quiet Japanese navigator who spends more time studying charts than talking. And Daniel, a young deckhand from Australia on his first long crossing. 5 people, 1 boat, 1 delivery. When the ropes are untied and the engines start humming, the harbor slowly slides away behind you. Palm trees shrink into the distance. The Pacific opens just like a massive blue highway. For the first few days, everything feels exactly how ocean travel should feel. The boat cuts cleanly through calm water. Flying fish burst from the waves like silver arrows. Sometimes dolphins appear beside the hull, racing the boat just for fun. The crew settles into a rhythm. Haru studies the charts. Luis checks the engines. Daniel learns how to tie knots without turning them into disasters. Mika steers the boat with steady confidence. And you manage the cargo below deck. The containers are stacked carefully. Inside each one are thousands of small brown pellets. They smell faintly like dried seaweed and grain. They're not meant for people, but they're technically edible. Fish grow fast on them. The farms pay well for them. And right now, they're the most valuable thing on your boat. By day 6, the ocean is still calm. By day 8, the horizon becomes your entire world. No ships, no land. Just water stretching forever in every direction. At night, the stars explode across the sky. Without city lights, the Milky Way looks like spilled silver dust. You lie on the deck sometimes just staring upward. Out here, the world feels enormous, and you feel very small inside it. On day 10, the weather forecast begins to change. Dark clouds appear low on the horizon. Mika studies them carefully. "Storm coming," he says. The sound in his voice tells you it won't be a small one. By day 12, the wind begins to rise. The boat rocks harder with each passing hour. Waves start building like moving hills of water. Luis secures everything on deck. Daniel struggles to keep his balance. The sky turns a dull iron gray. Then the storm arrives. Not slowly, suddenly. Wind screams across the ocean. The boat climbs a giant wall of water and slams down the other side. Rain beats your face like needles. The engines roar as Mika tries to keep the bow pointed into the waves. One massive wave crashes over the deck. Daniel is thrown against the railing. Another wave hits moments later. The boat tilts so far you think it might flip. For 12 straight hours, the storm batters you. Water floods the deck. Equipment breaks loose. One of the engine panels sparks and dies. By morning, the storm finally drifts away. The ocean settles, but the damage remains. One engine is completely dead. The radio antenna snapped during the storm. Several navigation instruments no longer work. The boat can still move, but barely. And you are now drifting far off your planned route. Mika studies the damaged equipment for a long time. Luis tries repairing the engine. But by day 14, the truth becomes clear. The engine cannot be fixed. You still have one engine left, but fuel must now be rationed carefully. Tahiti is still over 1,000 miles away. You continue forward slowly. Days pass. The ocean becomes strangely calm again, but the damage has already changed everything. On day 21, Haru begins feeling sick. At first it seems minor, fatigue, fever, but by the next morning he can barely stand. There is no doctor, no medicine beyond a small emergency kit. The sickness spreads fast. By day 24, Haru is gone. The ocean takes him quietly at sunrise. No one speaks much that day. The silence on the boat gets heavier. You keep moving, because stopping would mean accepting defeat. By day 37, supplies meant for the crew are running low. The trip was never supposed to last this long. The cargo remains untouched below deck, thousands of containers still sealed. You eat carefully, small portions, one meal each day. On day 52, another storm rolls through. This one's smaller, but still dangerous. A wave sweeps across the deck and throws Daniel into the railing. His injuries are worse than anyone realizes at first. By day 56, he is gone too. 3 people remain now, Mika, Luis, and you. The ocean feels bigger than ever. By day 70, Luis becomes weak. Food is nearly gone. The work of maintaining the boat drains every bit of strength from him. One morning, he simply doesn't wake up. The 3 of you became 2, and the silence becomes unbearable. Mika keeps steering the boat with the last engine, but the miles pass painfully slowly. Weeks drift by. On day 93, the final engine fails. A grinding metallic scream echoes through the hull. Then silence. The boat stops moving. Just like that. You are no longer traveling across the Pacific. You are floating inside it. Mika tries everything. Tools, spare parts, improvised repairs. But by day 97, he finally admits the truth. The engine is finished. You are alone in the open ocean with a boat full of cargo and no power. The next weeks become something completely different from a journey. They become survival. The crew food runs out. Water becomes precious. And eventually, you open the first container from the cargo hold. The pellets are dry and strange tasting, but they keep your stomach from collapsing. Day after day, you live like this, eating small handfuls, collecting rainwater when storms pass, watching the horizon for ships that never appear. Time slowly erases everything except survival. By day 118, Mika grows weaker each morning. He had spent weeks giving you the larger share of food. You didn't realize until it was too late. One quiet sunrise, he sits on the deck staring at the horizon. And sometime before noon, he stops breathing. Now there is only one person left on the boat. You, alone in the middle of the Pacific. Days last forever. You mark them with scratches on the cabin wall. By day 130, the ocean feels like a living desert. Then something unexpected happens. Late one afternoon, a massive shadow rises beside the boat. At first, your heart races with fear. A giant shape breaks the surface. A large ocean sunfish. Round, strange, almost prehistoric looking. It drifts beside the boat slowly, nibbling at small pieces of pellets that have fallen into the water. You watch it cautiously. It watches you, too. For hours, it stays near the boat. Then the next day, it returns again. And slowly, unbelievably, the enormous creature becomes your only companion in the infinite ocean. The next morning, you wake up expecting the strange visitor to be gone, but the sunfish is still there, floating beside the boat like a slow-moving moon beneath the surface. Its enormous fin rises out of the water every few seconds, slicing quietly through the calm sea. You lean over the side of the boat, watching it. The creature is enormous, at least 6 feet across. Its skin is gray and rough, dotted with scars from a life spent drifting through deep water. At first, you keep your distance. Anything that big in the ocean is something to respect. But the sunfish doesn't behave like a predator. It simply circles the boat slowly, sometimes drifting under the shade of the hull, sometimes nibbling at the few pellets that fall into the water when you eat. By day 132, you realize something strange. The fish isn't leaving. Every morning it appears again beside the boat, and every evening it drifts just beneath the surface as if sleeping nearby. You begin talking to it without thinking. Your voice sounds rough and unfamiliar after so many silent days, but speaking feels good. You tell the fish about the crew, about Fiji, about the destination that still exists somewhere far beyond the horizon. The fish listens the way the ocean always listens, quietly, without judgment. A strange routine begins to form. You wake up, check the sky, eat a small handful of pellets, then lean over the boat and watch your silent companion glide slowly through the water. Sometimes it bumps the hull gently. Other times, it simply floats beside you, while the current pushes both of you across the endless Pacific. The loneliness softens slightly. You're still alone, but not completely. By day 140, the ocean changes again. The calm blue water turns darker. The swells grow longer. The wind begins returning, not strong enough to power the broken boat, but strong enough to move the surface of the sea. You begin studying the currents more carefully, watching the direction of floating debris, feeling the slow push of the ocean beneath the hull. Something becomes clear, even without an engine. The boat is drifting west, very slowly, but still moving. Tahiti lies somewhere in that direction. It's a slight hope, but hope is something you desperately need. You start using pieces of broken equipment to create something resembling a steering system. The rudder still works, barely. You rig ropes from the wheel to the side rails so the boat can hold a rough direction even without power. It's crude, but it might help. Days continue passing. Your body grows thinner. Your skin burns dark under the sun. But your mind changes too. The panic that once lived inside you is gone. In its place is something quieter. Acceptance. Each day becomes simple. Water, food, breath. Watch the horizon. Sleep. Repeat. By day 155, your companion has grown comfortable around the boat. The sunfish often drifts right beside you while you sit on the deck. Once it even rises halfway out of the water, its enormous body tilting sideways as if examining you. You laugh for the first time in weeks. The sound surprises you. The ocean carries it away instantly, but the moment feels real. You're still capable of joy. Even here, the pellets continue keeping you alive. You chew them slowly. They taste dry and bitter, but your body accepts them. They are fuel, nothing more. Sometimes you toss a small handful into the water. The sunfish devours them lazily, its wide mouth gulping them down. You begin thinking of the cargo differently. At the start of the trip, it was just a shipment. Now it is survival. The reason you are still breathing, the strange partnership between you and the enormous drifting fish, becomes part of your daily life. Two creatures in the middle of a limitless ocean, both surviving in their own way. By day 168, the weather shifts again. Clouds gather. Rain begins falling in soft sheets. You rush around the deck, placing every container you own beneath the sky. Rainwater pours into buckets, cooking pots, empty pellet containers. You laugh again as the fresh water fills them. The ocean might be unpredictable, but sometimes it gives you exactly what you need. The storm passes overnight. The next morning, the sky is clear, and something else is different. Birds, small white birds, circle high above the boat. Your heart begins beating faster. Birds don't wander far from land. You scan the horizon again and again. Nothing. Just water. But the birds return the next day, and the day after. By day 182, you know something is changing. Currents feel stronger. Floating branches appear in the water. Once you even see a coconut drifting past the boat, your pulse races. Land must be somewhere ahead. You begin adjusting the ropes on the rudder every few hours, trying to keep the bow pointed west. The wind is still weak, but the current seems determined. The sunfish remains beside you, day after day, always circling the boat, always moving quietly through the water like an ancient guardian. Then day 191 arrives. You wake before sunrise. The air smells different. You can't explain it, but the scent reminds you of soil, of plants, of something that isn't salt water. The sky slowly brightens, and there, far on the horizon, a dark shape rises from the ocean. At first, you think it's a cloud, but as the sun climbs higher, the shape becomes clearer. Mountains. Your heart pounds. You grab the binoculars from the cabin. Through the scratched lenses, the shape sharpens. Green slopes, tall peaks, Tahiti, the destination you thought was impossible to reach. You stare at it for a long time, almost afraid it might disappear. But it doesn't. The island remains, real, solid, closer every hour. The current continues, pushing the boat slowly forward. You tighten the ropes on the rudder, guiding the drift as best you can. The sunfish swims beside the boat the entire time, sometimes racing ahead, sometimes circling beneath the hull, as if escorting you toward the island. By day 196, the mountains fill the horizon. You can see waterfalls pouring down the cliffs, white beaches shining beneath the sun, small boats moving along the coastline. Civilization, life, You barely sleep that night. Every hour you check the distance. The current keeps pulling you closer. The boat moves slowly but steadily toward the island. Morning arrives, day 197. The water slowly begins to change color. Dark blue fades into lighter shades, then turquoise. You lean over the side of the boat and see the ocean floor for the first time in months. Coral, sand, small fish, flashing like sparks of silver. Your hands tighten on the railing. Land is close. The current keeps pushing the boat forward, slowly, patiently. Every hour the mountains grow larger on the horizon. Green cliffs rise out of the ocean. White lines of surf break against distant reefs. You haven't seen land in half a year. For a long time, you simply sit on the deck, watching it, not celebrating, not shouting, just watching. Because after so many false hopes, your mind still refuses to believe it. The sunfish is still there beside the boat, gliding slowly through the water like it has been for weeks, sometimes drifting ahead, sometimes checking back. You speak to it again without thinking. Your voice is quiet. You tell it that the trip is almost over. The current carries the boat closer to the island through the afternoon. By evening, you can see houses near the shoreline, fishing boats moving in the distance, lights beginning to appear along the coast. Then something finally happens. One of the fishing boats changes direction. At first, you think it's a coincidence, but the boat keeps coming closer. Two figures stand at the front pointing toward you. Your heart starts racing. After months of silence, the sound of another engine feels unreal. The small boat pulls alongside your drifting vessel. The fishermen stare at you in shock. Your beard is wild. Your clothes are torn and sun-bleached. You probably look like someone who crawled out of the ocean itself. They ask questions you barely understand, but they understand one thing immediately. You survived. One of them throws you a rope. The engine pulls your boat slowly toward the island. The journey that should have taken 2 weeks has taken nearly 7 months. When the shoreline finally arrives beneath your feet, your legs barely hold you upright. People gather near the dock. Voices, movement, life. But before stepping away from the boat, you turn once more toward the water. The sunfish floats a short distance away. Its large fin breaks the surface one last time. For a moment it stays there, then it slowly sinks back into the deep blue and disappears. You never see it again. Later, when people inspect the boat, they notice something strange. The cargo is still there. The containers stacked safely in the hold, exactly where they were meant to go. After everything that happened, the delivery was completed. And when people eventually ask how you survived so long in the open Pacific, you don't give them a dramatic answer. You tell them something simpler. Out there, the ocean strips life down to the only things that matter: water, food, breath. One more sunrise, one more sunset, and the decision to keep going every single day until the horizon finally changes.